Hi, Amy.
Abby.
Last night we watched Before the 90 Days, Season 8, Episode 3. And I think you enjoyed this one, didn't you?
I did. I think I did. I was disappointed when it ended. I really wanted to push further in the storylines. I thought that there were a couple scenes that were, at least one that was quite heartfelt. A lot of questions have arisen regarding the couples, and I felt like this one really left us on a decent cliffhanger. I know that we're just at the very beginning of the season, though it's nice to be intrigued to a certain point.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Well,
love the cliffhanger with Rick and Trisha. And I love that there was a new couple introduced in this episode. And it looks like there's going to be another new couple introduced next week or very soon. So that was great. And yeah, a lot of stuff happened in this episode. So I felt like it had some good forward momentum. It was engaging.
some substance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it in a moment. But before we do, 1 and 2. 1, rate, review, and follow us wherever you listen to the podcast. And 2, watch our podcast on YouTube at 90 Day Fiancé. Honestly, actually, I'm going to add a number 3, which is really do go and rate us. Please just hit that button when you see it for how many stars you'd like to award us. It really does make a difference. Okay, let's get going. Laura and BeerCon.
And Michael. But we didn't see Michael in this episode. I just like to include him. So it helps me keep track of who they are.
But we still did discuss Michael.
Yes, he just wasn't on
Yeah,
this
it
episode.
was too bad. I would have liked to have seen him. I thought maybe he would be taking her to the airport like Rory did with Vea way back when. Anyway,
Okay.
Laura says that she did give Michael another chance by confronting him about the status of the relationship. And she took that interaction as him being asked to step up, but not actually taking that step. So she's plowing ahead with her relationship with BeerCon.
I agree that she can't just sit around and wait for him to be ready. I think that while she's in Turkey, Michael should take this opportunity to get some therapy to resolve his issues so that he can present himself as the best man that he can be for her, because I think it's quite obvious that he really has that potential. And they seem to work so well together, and Birkan just he doesn't have that same good feeling.
No, he really doesn't. I was a little distressed when she said she realizes that at some point she's going to have to choose between these two men, meaning she's going to have to either choose her relationship with BeerCon or her friendship with Michael, which seems like it's going to be pretty harsh from BeerCon. Can't say his name without laughing inwardly because I keep hearing you say beer can.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, thanks. Anyway, it seems like he's going to be the one who's putting the pressure on her to make that choice, either your friendship or your relationship, which is really, really sad. How fragile is your ego, man?
Quite.
Seriously.
Though I really think that he has a reason to be concerned about her friendship with Michael, because Michael is a better man. Michael is a man, period. Isn't
Yeah.
BeerCon, he's super young, isn't he? I didn't write down his age for this one.
Yeah, he's 27. Oh, sorry, he's 26. She's 47. Oh, and that's the other thing that came up when he was talking to his friends while they were playing whatever game that was. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, is that Mahjong? Is it Scrabble? What is going on here?
Mahjong.
The point is, he said to his friends, Laura is 45. So was she lying on her profile? Has she told him she's a little bit younger? She's 47. That's not much older, but still, it's a lie.
Either that or he just dropped the number for whatever reason. Or he could have forgotten. Who knows?
Continuing on, she's going to the airport. Her parents are driving her, and they both seem to have, but especially Mom, a very, very strong opinion about this relationship and how Laura is, in effect, making a huge mistake by going.
My comment was, her mom is spitting the truth.
Yeah. It was delivered a little bit aggressively.
Harshly, yeah.
I don't know if she was doing that on purpose because she was encouraged to be like that, or if that's just Mom's demeanor. It did come across as very judgmental and not supportive in the least. You could have been a little bit supportive, but Whatever the reason, mom is very, very skeptical of this relationship. She believes wholeheartedly that Bir Khan is using Laura for the purpose of a visa and nothing else. And the red flags that she sees are not just the age, but the fact that he's already said, I love you, even though they've never met. And we know this relationship is pretty fresh, new. So then we switch over to Turkey, where we're meeting Bir Khan and his friends. Now, he's got what I have called monk chic in his haircut, because he's got, like, you know how some of the monks used to shave their hair in a tonsure where it was just like a very high up hairline? Ugh. Why would you do that to yourself?
Like a short bowl cut.
Extremely short, like shaved within an inch of its life. The hair is just barely clinging to the top of his head. Okay. And he describes how he and Laura met over Snapchat. And we get to see a few of these photos of Laura from their Snapchat. And each one of them is very, very heavily filtered.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And also, what is a 47-year-old woman doing on Snapchat?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I had it when I was in my, I want to say early 30s. And I had it for like 2 weeks and then I deleted it because it was not my thing. But
Okay.
47.
Yeah. I don't understand that either. And the fact that she's catfishing, kinda, with these images of herself that are different from how she actually looks, I just find that so deceptive. It's like telling people that you're younger than you are, or telling people you're taller than you are. It's going to be revealed eventually, so why not just start out with the truth?
And I don't think that she looks bad for her age. So why not
No,
just
she
own
doesn't.
it?
Yeah, she looks fantastic. So why the subterfuge? Why pretending to be in your 20s or early 30s? Okay. We found out some very juicy, juicy gossip from Bir Khan. He used to be an athlete, got injured, could not follow that as a career path. So then he did something in trying to start up a couple of businesses. Both of them failed, and now he is very heavily in debt. This information has not been passed on to Laura.
Didn't he also say that he is unemployed currently?
Yes, I think she also doesn't know that. He also told us that he wants Laura to definitely end her friendship with Michael. We didn't see that one coming, did we?
No.
What a surprise.
No. These red flags are really coming from nowhere.
Anything else from this couple?
No.
Okay, fair enough. We're moving on now to our new couple, which is Lisa, 52, from Pennsylvania, and Daniel, 39, Nigeria. Not such a big age gap here. What is it, 13 years? It's not too bad.
It's not awful, but there's a lot of issues going on with this
Yes.
woman. Not just with
Yes.
him, but her personally.
Yes. What do you want to start off with?
The fact that she was married 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Common denominator here. In all of these failed marriages, who's the common denominator? Can you actually say that every person that you've been with has been that awful? Even though she said that her second or third husband was her favorite relationship. Interesting. And then she pulls off her wig. First of all, her wig looks so much better than the Kardashian one that we've seen. Is it on this one or is it on the...
Yes.
Okay.
It's on this one.
This looks so much better. Perhaps I am not very good with wigs, but I thought her short hair looked really cute. And I thought she should own that as well, though I can understand with one of her past relationships, them making her cut her hair really short and she was uncomfortable with it. She likes her long hair. Okay, that's not that big of a deal. Oh God, there's so much to talk about.
When we were initially introduced to her and her daughter, they're talking about various aspects of who Daniel is. But one of the things that they focused on that I found just so bizarre and disgusting was that they were speculating about his size. And that was just like, what? Why is this even coming up between the two of you now? And I thought we were going to go over into territory from what we've experienced with Forrest and his mom, Molly, where it's inappropriate and it's just keep your child out of your intimate life discussions, because that's not good parenting to go there. But Lisa doesn't seem to have a problem talking about this stuff, and she goes condom shopping with her daughter, but thankfully leaves her daughter in the car. and then ends up needing help to even purchase these because she doesn't know what to look for. She starts crying. I was like, "Oh my gosh, Lisa, like bless your heart. You're such an innocent." But then she says, "Well, I don't have experience with this because I've been living as a lesbian for the last 20 years." And by the way, Daniel doesn't know this because his religion is very intolerant of any kind of same-sex relationship. So she's not telling him the truth. And I'm like, oh, here we go again.
Well, she beat around the bush a little bit just to test the waters, and he did
Yeah.
not have a very positive reaction. Going back to the condoms though,
Yeah.
at least she's planning on being safe.
Hmm.
So that's something. However, the fact that she knows that this could potentially be a deal breaker. Again, why don't you talk about these things ahead of time? Talk about these big things. You know that his religion is intolerant of
Yeah.
this, and yet you've lived almost half of your life being in relationships with women, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, the fact that you've been hiding this from him, don't you think he's going to have an issue with that when you actually confess?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. But this relationship is extremely new. Did you catch the timeline that slipped by us so quickly?
Well, no, because I didn't even write it down.
Okay, so this went by in a blur. When they were at the teppanyaki, the daughter said to the mom, "You've given him $2,000 in the first 2 months of your relationship. How much have you given him in the last two?"
So it's
Which
only been
gives us
word.
a total of 4 months. And she's already flying there and she's already given him so much money. This has scam written all over it in huge red letters.
This really gave me like the memory of Xena
Mhm.
compromising her own financial health for someone else. And she gave so many excuses for him. And I was just like, oh, honey, stop for a minute here. Oh, he does work, but he got sick. And then her daughter was being the voice of reason. Isn't it strange that he keeps getting sick and asking for more money
Yeah.
and you keep giving it to him? I found this whole interaction at the Teppanyaki Grill very frustrating because her daughter seems to be very well aware of what's going on in their relationship. I think she can see her mom's patterns with, falling in love super quickly, relationships dissolving super quickly, and her mom putting herself in a compromised position for the benefit of someone else. And then her friend is an enabler.
Mhm.
She's been giving her money to give to him. Excuse
Or to
me.
pay for her to get her visa to go there.
Yeah, excuse me, but no. If either one of us were in that position, the answer would be no. And you need to take a really hard look at yourself. The fact that you're asking or the fact that her friend even offered. No, that's not a good friend. Your good friend would tell you you need to take care of yourself before you take care of anyone else. She's apparently also in a lot of debt now. She owes her friend money. Is your friend going to sponsor him coming over now? Like, what is this even going to look like? This is absolute baloney. And her poor daughter gets so upset about it. And I really didn't appreciate how she was speaking to her daughter when she goes to talk to her outside. She was so defensive. And I found that she was super aggressive with her. And her poor daughter was like, she just keeps telling me that my opinions are wrong. I was like, oh, here we go. We've seen this before. I felt awful for her. Like, does she not see how much she's hurting her daughter? At what expense is this relationship going to be?
I think the enabling friend is the least of Lisa's problems right now.
Mm.
The biggest issue here is the relationship with the daughter and how things are suffering for the sake of this guy in Nigeria who is clearly scamming her, clearly just using her for money and not intending to have a love relationship with her or move to the States or do any of that. He just wants to milk her for as much money and for as long as he can until she wises up. But the daughter telling the mom, look, all of these markers of a scam romance are in place. There was love bombing, probably still is. You are the perfect target audience for this kind of scam. You're needy, for lack of a better word. You're older. You're on your own. You want a romance. And Lisa reacting so incredibly defensively towards that very obvious and factual information tells you all you need to know. She is in utter 100% denial.
Denial.
She has barely enough money for herself, and she keeps sending him money just about every 2 weeks. So that means over the course of the 4 months, presumably she sent him money 7 or 8 times. A lot of money.
Yeah.
Then that information about him getting sick comes out, where it's obviously a heartstring scam. Oh, I can't afford my medicine. Can you please help? Lisa is incredibly naive. She's a perfect, what is that attachment style when you want to glom on to the other person super quick because it's insecurity, right? You're so insecure that you need to have that immediate affirmation and confirmation that the relationship exists and lock them down right away so that you feel a little bit of security. And Lisa is doing everything she can not to feel like this guy is going to leave her. So anything he asks for, she will do.
I think another term that applies is desperate.
Yeah, in a word. But the relationship with her daughter is suffering so much from this. And Lisa saying to her daughter, "You're wrong," or "I don't want to talk about this," and shutting her daughter down and denying her daughter's feelings, all of that stuff is so destructive. This new relationship is not worth losing your daughter over. And it's absolutely awful parenting saying to your child, "Oh, you're not allowed to feel that way." Just shatteringly awful. And even though Lisa says, "I'm not going to choose Daniel over you, my daughter," I don't believe her for a second.
She effectively is already.
And then there was that point when the daughter said, "Don't do this to me again." Again. So this has already been happening. And I guess that's what she was alluding to when she was saying, "I went to 15 different schools," because she was having to move as often as mom was asking her to because of whatever relationship she happened to be in at the time. So for me, the only answer after seeing this clip, which was terrible, is Lisa needs to postpone, or better yet, cancel her trip to Nigeria, spend some time with her daughter, and try to work at healing the pain that she has caused her daughter directly through these toxic relationships, because her daughter needs her.
I agree.
And if any of this information gets to Daniel, what do you think he's going to do with it?
Well, you're going to have to choose.
Exactly. He's going to make it all about setting up the daughter and Lisa as adversaries and telling her, Lisa, that she's got to drop the daughter in order to fully accept him and embrace what he has to offer. And at that point, if she does it, that's it. She's gone.
Yeah, your daughter is meddling. She has no business being in our relationship. She needs to back up, respect boundaries, or whatever he's going to say.
Mhm.
Anything just to keep his cash cow. Again, like Xena.
Yeah. Yeah. Shall we read on?
All right.
Because now it's time to go back to Belize with Aviva and Stig on Shrimp Air.
God.
Blah.
Okay, first of all, I was glad that she said, "I brought it for you, but oh my God, please don't eat it."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's one brain cell.
That's exactly it. How can you be so dumb that you don't bring the ice packs, bring a Tupperware so the smells and the juices don't leak everywhere?
Can you imagine being on that plane
Oh, that would suck.
with that?
That stink.
Yeah, germs, the bacteria. I can't imagine being in a room, let alone an airplane, or however long it was. Anyway, it was a long time for shrimp to not be refrigerated.
This whole thing was just so absurd. I don't even know what to say about it anymore. Like you, I'm glad that he didn't eat them, because definitely he would have had shooting diarrhea for days. So that was good at least, but why even bother with bringing it, with the whole getting it spilled on your legs and annoying the other passengers if you were just going to put it in the garbage as soon as you got there? Really? Like, okay. So he said he would marry you if you did it. Is this a joke? But a stinky, stinky joke.
Again, with the desperation.
Yeah. So we learn finally about Stig a little bit. One of the things we found out this episode is that he's 30 years old. We didn't have that information before. So that's good. She's 26. He's 30. Finally, we've got a relationship that's within shooting distance of each other. And we see him performing. Then he goes out with his team of guys, manager stuff, and they discuss what his dating habits have been like.
Manager, producer, and bro is what I'm going to call
Okay.
this one. Yeah.
According to them, he really, really likes American girls.
Not a red flag there. What do you mean?
No, he says that he wants to move to the States and have a baby there. And I guess that would be because he wants citizenship in this climate. Good luck with that.
What was that guy's name? Soldier Boy. He also wanted to go to the States, but it was obviously just for love for sweet baby Lisa.
And then Kimbali.
Oh, yeah, there were two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. I mean, at least this one seems to be at least half decent. I didn't cringe the entire time we've seen him, like his performance clips. They haven't been completely awful, but at the same time, ugh, it seems as though he didn't, like, even though when he starts talking about her, the first words were out of his mouth, she's, super good looking or whatever. But then he said he really enjoyed her personality or something. So there was something beyond it, though I feel like he could just be a sweet talker for the cameras because he has been in the public eye.
Yeah.
And he knows what they want to hear. Though I do want to go back to the whole baby thing with his friend who said, "You want to breed her?"
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Who are you
Yeah.
hanging out with that this is the stuff that comes out of their mouths? This is disgusting.
I know.
I never want to hear that ever again on this show.
I know it really rubbed
ever.
me the wrong way, but I also thought maybe this is some kind of slang. I know it's a horrible word to use to talk about having a child with a woman, but maybe, I don't know.
No, I'm
They
not
seem to
giving
have
them.
their own kind of vernacular and dialect. I've never been to Belize. I haven't experienced it, but
Right.
like when you go to Jamaica and they're talking in the patois and there are English words and there are French words and there are patois words that are mishmashed. And I was like, maybe this is just an expression.
Okay, I'll give you that. It could be like a language or cultural thing, but it didn't sit well with me.
No, me either. Me
The
either.
fact that he didn't shut his friend up, they all just kind of laughed it
The
off.
whole interaction with the friends left me with a really bad feeling because they seemed to be laughing at him and they would know him best, right? From all of his experiences with his fans and whatever relationships he's had. They just seemed to be laughing and smiling and going, yeah, buddy, sure, whatever you say, because they don't believe for a second that he's capable of or at the stage of wanting the one burner.
Or just believing him. Like they know what his actual reasoning behind dating her is.
Yeah.
And maybe this is, maybe he will be faithful to her, though it kind of seems as though it'll be like just in time for him to get the visa, to settle down, to start his career. And then he's just going to go back to his ways because he did say that he's not going to stop the partying.
Right. Okay. So in relation to what you were saying about the monogamy, that he's going to be a good boy from now on, did you notice, and this is where his charm was really coming out, when they were in the hotel room and she was trying to ask him, but she didn't say it outright, have you been a good boy since we've been talking online? Have you been with anybody else? He didn't say, no, I haven't. He skirted around that so much and was diverting and charming and talking about how great she is rather than, he's like, but I'm with you now, or they were not you. Something like that. So it's not a denial. It's not a agreement. It's, I'm just going to not answer. And that worries me.
It's the charm.
Yes. There's a lot of charm going on here.
The charisma.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing that really caused me to pause for a moment was when they were filming her one-on-one segments and she's wearing the red floral dress. This is the post-show stuff, not during the filming of the show, but after. When she's giving her reactions, she looks preggers.
Ooh, I didn't notice that.
Her face has that sort of fuller look to it, and she's glowy, and I was like, "What is going on in the belly area?" Not sure, but I was definitely like, isn't this the couple that when we saw them as a at the very, very start and brief little previews of what was gonna happen this season, that they were talking about not using protection?
I don't remember that, but that wouldn't surprise
I
me.
think I think it was.
Though, I mean, if you're going to be with a performer who has a colorful past, perhaps you need to protect yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Mhm.
Mm,
I'm questioning all of Aviva's decisions, not just relating to food and transportation of food, but choosing this guy, choosing to ignore him when he diverts and doesn't answer her question, and then also going ahead and putting on the lacy red lingerie the very first night, even though there's been no prelude to all of this yet. You just volunteer, like, here I am, come and get me.
maybe that's
With
what she feels like she needs to do in order to secure him.
That's what I'm thinking, that she's at that stage of feeling insecure, just like our last one, and she's doing everything she can to try to lock it down as quickly as she can, which is too bad because he said, "I'm willing to take it slow and see where things go and not jump into bed immediately, get to know her first." I was like, "Yeah, great, thumbs up. I like this." But no.
She diverts that idea.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes.
And then when he says that, she's going to get to see him perform in a couple days, on one hand, wouldn't it have been great to discuss your schedule? Because she knew he was going to have to be working while she was there. However, decide what you're going to do in the meantime. Let her know when your shows are and go from there. Just full transparency. But no,
Mhm.
surprise. I have a show in however many days. But also, wouldn't she know? Like, doesn't she follow his tour schedule? Because that would be publicized even on his website.
I think 2 things. I think, yes, she already knew, and I think 2, he's doing it deliberately, coinciding the filming with his shows so that he can get more promotion.
I hadn't even thought of that. That is the most obvious
Ye
suggestion. Oh, I hadn't. My God. So, aside from that, I said maybe her seeing him perform would be his opportunity to show her, I'm showing you attention, I'm showing you love while I'm on stage, something. And it could be his opportunity to start creating that trust for her. Though, given everything that we've just talked about today, I think it really just rolls into your point that it's all just showmanship. It's all for publicity.
Yeah. I even started wondering if they drove past that billboard that was of him advertising the alcohol, that they didn't deliberately take that route in order to see it. Mm,
This is, I'm a
maybe.
big deal.
Yes, and he is. He's a big star in Belize. Okay, great. But are you trying to be a bigger star on the back of this relationship and of this TV show? Maybe.
Probably. Yeah.
Shall we read on?
Okay.
We have Forrest and Sheena up next. They're still traveling at the beginning of this, and we find out from Sheena that they're all going to be staying together in a big apartment together, family style, which is nice. And Sheena is bringing the jackfruit, which is larger than a suitcase almost. It's so huge. I love that.
It was absolutely massive. It's larger than like a bowling ball bag. It was huge.
So she then goes to the airport to meet up with everybody. She's waiting patiently for Forrest and his parents to get off the plane. But there is a delay because these bumbling first
Inexperienced
time
travelers.
first time travelers have misplaced their passports. Sheena's also worried that Molly is going to be nasty towards her since she has been in her text messages to Sheena about the money. Again, Molly has no right to feel any type of way about what Sheena does with her money because it is her money. So I'm really getting annoyed with this storyline at this
Yeah.
point.
And I also wonder who's actually paying for the hotels that they're staying at.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be a combination of Forrest and his parents paying for that, but I can see how Sheena might have contributed a quarter of the cost, like if they all went even Steven on it.
Or maybe even half. Who
Hmm.
knows? I mean,
Yeah, who
it
knows?
makes sense because, she's a vet. His parents don't seem to have a lot of money. And as we've discussed earlier, it seems as though every time they talk about the money, it's not our money, it's Sheena's money. And I
Yeah,
feel like
it
that
it is. I have no question.
there
He's
is.
not contributing.
Yeah.
It's hers. It's only hers. And the fact that she has said that they can potentially use it for her to come to the States and get the visa and everything, that is the sticking point for everybody, which is just ludicrous.
Yeah.
Considering where Sheena comes from and how like we saw when she was introduced to Forrest's parents for the first time how incredibly obsequious she was. Like she was so over the top respectful towards them. I humbly ask for your forgiveness, she said to them.
So respectful. Obviously, she appreciates her elders, which is a huge thing in the Filipino culture. And she's really bringing that into this relationship. So I can really understand why she would be concerned about um, how Molly is going to perceive her. And it does make sense for her to walk into this. I don't know if I can say that word right now, to acquiesce to them, to set things on like a neutral ground. Like, please don't think that I'm trying to take your money, that whatever.
But it's not their money.
I know, but from her perspective, she loves Forrest. So this is
Okay.
going to be the best opportunity for her to smooth things over with his parents. I really thought that it was a really emotional greeting. It seemed really, really genuine. Sheena seems so incredible. Sheena just seems like an extremely beautiful human being. And I really think that she's way too good for Forrest. I mean, that's quite obvious. Though I support any decision that she makes that will make her happy. And if she's okay putting in 200%, that's her decision. And I will support that even if I don't agree with it. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay.
I also loved the greeting. It was very, very touching the way that she wept openly and Forrest cried and then Molly cried and even Dev cried.
Oh, they were
That
all
was lovely.
bawling.
They were all bawling. They were doing a group hug. It's a lovely, lovely moment. And Sheena offers this very beautiful apology towards Molly, even though I feel as a North American person that it's not necessary, that
Definitely not.
Molly should be the one who's apologizing to Sheena. But we recognize Sheena's in a different culture. There's a lot more reverence for your parents and obviously
Yeah.
the parents of your loved one. So she's going to do whatever she can to get Molly to like her and to feel comfortable. I was very disappointed that Molly didn't then say to Sheena, I apologize for the text messages. I should not have sent them. They were sent in a heightened state of emotion. I didn't mean it, something. But she offers zero apology. And in fact, she says to the camera a little while later, I still have questions about Sheena. I'm still thinking about this situation. And she's still vilifying Sheena, even though Sheena is dealing with her own money, not Forrest's or not Molly's. And Sheena has offered this beautiful, heartfelt apology to welcome you to her country. So I really hope that Molly's going to drop this line of persecution towards Sheena very, very quickly. But I have a feeling that she will not.
I have to agree with you on that, just because it seems as though no one's going to live up to her expectation of who's going to be good enough for her Forrest.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey.
Leave it at that.
Oh, shall we read on? Okay. Rick and Trisha.
Okay, first of all, before we even dive into them, I do want to say that I was wrong last week when I said it was 10 days. It was
Oh,
only 5 days that she had ghosted him, which
mhm.
makes this story that much worse.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's bad to begin with,
Oh, yeah.
then it gets worse.
Oh, yeah. Shall we deal with the TMI at the beginning first?
What is it about this season? It seems as though we're getting a lot of sex scenes.
Yeah, this has been happening more and more frequently across the seasons, and I really don't need it. None of it is necessary. We don't need to see the lingerie strewn on the floor. We know what they did. That's between the two of them. And we don't need to hear about how good it was or how often it was or what size he was. We don't need to know. And then Rick openly bragging to the camera later on about his performance. I was like, oh, shut up.
But he seems like the kind of
Please.
guy that would do that.
Gross.
100%. And I agree. We don't need to hear it. We don't need to see it. It's way too much. This is not what the show is supposed to be about.
No. We know what you're doing. Like it's obvious and it's great that you're getting along, but we don't need to be shown it in this salacious, disgusting way. Please.
Agreed.
Next up, the market. This is your territory. I'll let you
Oh,
take it away.
I absolutely loved this. Everything just aside from his comments, everything just looked so fresh. And like, just imagine going into a market like that with so many options. It reminds me of way back in the day. So listen to my story when I used to go to the market and being overwhelmed with the amount of vendors and seeing where, all the different fruits and vegetables came from and getting to know the vendors and seeing which ones actually cared about their produce versus the ones that were importing it and reselling it. And man, I loved that. What I didn't love was him being like, ew, what's that? Ew, what's that? Though I did love her saying, we use every part of the cow. Like, yes, I'm going to eat that. Like, get over yourself.
Mm-hmm.
This is just what we do here. Like, I mean, if you want to get a chicken breast, we can get you a chicken breast, but this is going to be so much more flavorful. And I loved that part. Okay, so Lisa mentioned
Lisa.
from Lisa and Daniel that she hasn't investigated the food in Nigeria.
Oh, yes, that's
So
right.
that made me laugh when
Mm-hmm.
Rick was all like, "Oh my god, ew. Why hasn't she investigated this stuff? Should she not know what she's getting into?" Obviously, you know that that's going to be the first thing that I'm looking into.
Mm-hmm.
Markets, restaurants, what's the cuisine there? What are
Yeah.
what's the national food and the national drink? Let's be serious. And none of that. And then it also reminded me of Sam and Citra when Citra first came to the States and she was making Sam her Indonesian food, and it was so incredibly spicy. He could barely stand in the kitchen, and yet
Mm-hmm.
he ate it graciously,
Yeah.
even though it
Yeah.
probably made his eyes water, his nose run. It probably made him very uncomfortable for not just eating that, but later. There's
Yeah.
just so many different ways that you could take this exposure to a new culture. And I think Rick was very ungrateful. I thought it was great that Trisha had decided to take him to the market as one of the first ways to investigate Madagascar. And then the sites. I thought she did a really great job. Even though she's only 25, I think this was just a really, really good move on her part.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned she's only 25, but I think she's a lot more mature than your regular 25-year-old. I mean, we know she's got her
Yeah.
career and she seems to live independently. And yes, she chooses these very mature, interesting things to do as her introduction to Madagascar for Rick, rather than I don't know, maybe going to a mall,
To a
whatever.
food court.
She chooses these really cool things, and the second place that they go to is that viewpoint to look over the entirety of the island. I was like, "Really? Isn't Madagascar kind of big?" And then there's this dancing scene, which is lovely, where he tries to dance, and we know he is a dancer, but she's like, "No, no, no. You don't know how to dance." And then she shows him how to dance. That was fantastic.
And you could see the people in the background, even though I'm pretty sure they blurred out their faces, that they were all trying so hard not to laugh at this guy.
He says, "I'm falling more and more in love with her." Like, okay, okay, Rick, steady. Hang on. But they do need to clear up what happened during the radio silence days. And also, what did Rick do during that time?
Okay. So, what did you think about her reasons behind not talking to him for 5 days? Was that reasonable?
When we first heard the broad strokes about what this story was in episode 1, I went, oh, this is completely made up. This is fake. It didn't sound real at all. But when she described it this time, I did buy it. And I think that there was a lot of embarrassment there for her. And that's the reason why she wasn't talking to him, because of them being involved with the police and the charges. I don't know if they were laid against her brother or her because she owned the scooter that struck the other person. And it seemed like they were having to pay for the hospital bills and stuff. And maybe she felt that if she mentioned that to Rick, that he would have thought that that was her applying pressure to him to send money. I can see how she got so wound up in her stress and anxiety over this series of weird events that she decided not to talk to him during that time. Did you buy it?
I did. I really thought that her explanation of it was so understandable, if that's even the right word. Um, that that was probably so incredibly stressful for her, not having to deal with, the cops and everything, but having to pay for the person's injuries. And she did say that she didn't want to mention it because she was afraid that that would make him think that she was asking for money. And she didn't want him to think that that's what she was saying. And I think that you're right. There was also an element of embarrassment for her. I think that she explained it in a way that really clarified my concerns about it because, as you said, like it was just BS. All of these separate situations don't amount to you not saying anything, but with the money, and then they weren't too serious at that time, and maybe she didn't want to seem too needy, and she didn't know if she could trust him at that time. It makes so much more sense, and that showed me that she's a lot more emotionally mature
Mm-hmm.
than he is,
Yes.
especially based on his response to it.
Oh God, that's a whole other kettle of fish. Can I just quickly mention before we go there
Mhm.
that she apologizes to Rick for her silence and for hurting him with her silence and for not confiding in him, for not trusting him enough at that point, which I thought was very sweet and lovely of her.
And, and I think she made a really good point that like they hadn't met in person.
Mhm.
So she wasn't really sure where this relationship was going and if she could have trusted him with this because I mean that's deeply personal.
Yeah. Yep. Like I said, I buy it. I buy her story now that we've heard more of the details from her. Okay. And then now we get to what Rick did and which he chose not to tell her at this point. Even though we are in the midst of revealing secrets to one another, it is the perfect opportunity. So this is so problematic. From a practical perspective, how many days did it take of radio silence for him to get in touch with his ex in Colombia, book the flight, and go there to spend a week? He said a week with her. Was it day 1 of radio silence? Was it day 5 of radio silence?
Even if it was day 5, he still booked that trip and he still went on that trip and he still spent an entire week with his ex.
Yeah.
Being
Sleeping together,
intimate with her for an entire week.
acting as if they were a couple again. And after the 5 days, which even if he left on day 5 or day 1 would have been during the course of his time in Colombia, Trisha reappears on his radar. What does he do? Does he stop being girlfriend, boyfriend with his ex? Does he stop sleeping with her? Does he decide to go home in shame, realizing that he's made a huge mistake? No, he's still there. Wow.
He stayed. At no
So
point did he say that he was like, oh my God, the second that she contacted me, I was like, I have to leave. And I went and I couldn't change my flights because it was too expensive. So I stayed at a hotel or something. No, he still
nope.
stayed and he enjoyed his time.
Oh yeah.
And he allowed that overlap to occur knowingly that Trisha was back in conversation with him. I can appreciate the fact that maybe he questioned her truthfulness and her trustworthiness at that time because he didn't understand the full magnitude of what she had just experienced. And obviously he didn't know the full extent until now. However, he did absolutely nothing to mitigate the circumstances, even though this is the woman that he wants to marry.
Yeah. But it's not just about what his reaction was after he did get in contact with Trisha again and what he failed not to do, which is to break up or go home with the temporary ex-girlfriend in Colombia. But it's the fact that he decided that this was a good course of action to take as retaliation against her for what he thought she was doing, but which he had no proof that she was doing. So a person who believes, oh, I think that my current partner maybe cheating on me. So I'm going to retaliate now rather than waiting, rather than saying, I'm going to be the bigger person, wait to see if this is actually true first. It's, I'm going to go ahead and screw you over. This is the kind of person we're dealing with.
That is good. This isn't, oh my God, I'm longing for my ex. This is like an FU to Trisha. You're cheating
Yeah.
on me. I'm going to do it back before I even know the proof. Yeah, that is good.
It's scary. Okay. Anyway, any final thoughts on any of the couples from this week?
I had one, and it has to do with the foreshadowing.
Yes.
What's coming up was when Molly, Forrest's mom, said that Sheena was giving all of her money to her parents.
Hmm.
And again, we've already said this. It's Sheena's money. She can give it to her parents if she wants. So that's further supporting your point that it's all Sheena's money.
It's all her money. It always was, and it always will be. Mhm.
So
Why
why
Molly
is
feels entitled to have any sway in how Sheena spends her own money is beyond me. Ugh,
I need to
barf.
give him a different nickname because I feel like I
Sweet
should be.
Forest doesn't roll off the tongue, does it?
Mm-mm. No, her. I don't even know what to call him at this point. I don't know.
Hmm.
For child.
Maybe we'll figure that out as we go.
Okay.
All right, let's leave things there then. If you have finished your thought, did you?
Well, I was gonna ask you what you thought. Your
Oh,
final.
no. No final thoughts. My brain is empty now.
Okay. Okay.
Before we go, if you're enjoying the 90 Day Fiancé Honestly podcast, please subscribe to or give our show a follow. If you have an additional moment, please rate us and help other 90 Day fans to find our show. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.